At number 5, Chris Marshall and his boring f***ing relationship.
What's this?
BT Home Hub. Adam's got broadband.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I equate broadband services with a chilly, awkward domestic atmosphere, so this is spot on.
Seems nice.
He's not.
CGI and special effects are all very well, but for my money, the most significant technological advances have taken place away from the screen in the world of editing.
Video editing used to be a fairly cumbersome process, more difficult than film, which you could easily slice up with razor blades.
Consequently, in ye olden days, there was often more vision mixing than editing. Indoor scenes would be shot in a studio using several cameras, and the director would cut between them, creating an edit on the fly. Exterior scenes used to be shot on 16mm film because it was easier to edit. That's why a lot of old shows, especially comedies, had such a different feel whenever they cut to an outdoor location.
That's an effect that will be familiar to anyone who remembers the peerless Fawlty Towers. True to subversive form, Monty Python even used it as the basis for a very clever sketch.
Gentlemen, I have bad news. This room is surrounded by film. What?
Things changed in the early 90s when hard disk editing arrived to excite this edition of Tomorrow's World.
I can see all the shots here on this screen and they're instantly accessible. And over here on this one, this is where you build up your edited report. You can swap shots over or change them for other ones really easily.
This was a bit like the leap from typewriters to word processors. Suddenly it was a piece of piss to chuck in one edit after another.
The logical conclusion is the hyper-edited bombardment you get in frenetic MTV dating shows like this.
It's also enabled reality shows to exist because now it's possible to go through 24 hours of footage and condense it down to 1 hour of highlights in time for transmission the next day.
Of course, the pressure of time and the need to tell a story means you often end up with a crude caricature of real life, a condensed bullet point version of events that can be easily manipulated to tell almost any story you like. To demonstrate this, we decided to make our own reality show in miniature. Day 1 in the Screenwipe house. The first flatmate to arrive is children's entertainer Jim Bob.
Oh, wicked.
Next in is runner from previous Screenwipe series, Louise.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jim Bob.
Jim Bob, I'm Louise.
Oh, excellent.
Misanthropic TV presenter Charlie is the third flatmate to enter the Screenwipe house.
It's a bit awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should we have a drink?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Last to arrive, glamour model agony aunt and DJ Ashleen.
Hello. Hello, I'm Charlie, hello. What we've ended up with is hours of fairly nondescript footage of us all standing around and jabbering.
It's shot from 3 angles, here, here and here. And we've also got interviews in which each of the flatmates say what they thought of each other. Using these ingredients, we can tinker to an absurd degree.
If we want, we can hunt through it for moments where it looks like Ashleen's flirting with me, as well she might.
Here's one. Here's another one. Oh, and here's another. Oh, she bloody wants me.
Or we could just cherry-pick the moments where it looks like she's not that impressed at all. That's just highlighting a particular aspect. If we want, we can be more devious than that. For instance, here, I get away with telling a pretty lame joke. What's red and invisible?
I don't know.
No tomatoes. But if we want, we can join the start of that moment to another moment that actually happened later on, and suddenly I seem to die on my arse. What's red and invisible?
I don't know.
No tomatoes. We can also use one piece of footage to illustrate 2 completely different points. For instance, here's a shot of me talking and them listening. Doesn't tell you much, but if we run it in conjunction with a positive sounding soundbite, suddenly it takes on a different meaning.
And he's quite attractive in a kind of weird, quirky way. He's very engaging. You know, he captures your attention. Quite like that.
And if we change that soundbite, well, suddenly the meaning changes with it.
God, where to start? It just goes on and on and on and on, and he just takes everything out of context and onto a whole different tangent, and it's just like, yabba, yabba, yabba.
We can use these techniques to tell almost any story we want. We can make it look as though Ashleen's bored of me, or we can take 2 shots that happen sometime apart and combine them to make me look like a lecherous scumbag.
Of course, that's all artifice. In reality, Ashleen and I have been married for 2 years and are very, very much in love.
Ever and ever, forever and ever, you'll be the one that shines.
That's a lie as well. We had to pay her just to turn up. And even then we had to prop a picture of Richard Madeley up in her eye line so she could pretend it was him she was hugging and not me. God, I don't know what it is. The pussy loves that Madeley. So I can't say that. Ow! Now here's stand-up legend Stuart Lee talking about teenagers then and now. Ow! Ooh! Ow!
If you look at the depictions of teenagers in television today, they're kind of selfish, avaricious, out for themselves. They're also kind of confident and sassy and cool, and they're really, really at home with sex and drugs. If you look at portrayals of teenagers in the 70s in, say, something like Children of the Stones or The Changes, they're really terrified of the world, and they're uncomfortable and alienated and alone. And I think that is much truer to what it's really like to be a teenager than the way you see them in Skins. Children of the Stones is set in a village with a prehistoric stone circle about it in the mid-70s, 1976, where an astrophysicist has to go and do some research there with his son, Matt. And they gradually uncover this conspiracy where everyone in the village is being taken over by a kind of mind ray, which is connected to a black hole in space. Henrik in Children of the Stones is an astronomer gone bad who's using his power for evil. And he realises pretty quickly on that Matt is his intellectual equal and the force that he has to vanquish to hold control of the village.
Very perceptive, that son of yours. Perceptive and formidable.
Changes begins with images of buildings falling down, stuff exploding and hills collapsing over this weird kind of mid-70s German progressive rock soundtrack. It's about a sudden fit of madness that overtakes Britain where all the adults decide that all machines and technology have to be smashed, and then they flee. And Nikki, the teenage girl, gets left behind by her parents and has to try and look out for herself in this world where all values have been overturned.
You shouldn't be here. Everybody's gone from here. Either gone or died.
Died?
Skins opens with loads of shots of funky young people, proceeds to depict their vile, selfish, misogynist lives with kind of horrible, hip, sassy language. And there's just a degree of cynicism in the characters and in the way that the programme is put together.
For Christ's sake, Tony!
The opening 5 minutes of Skins is just this pointless invective between the Harry Enfield father and the horrible little rat-faced son. I really want the Harry Enfield dad to just get that kid and punch his face in. So here's something that's happened in 30 years. Look how the kids in Skins greet each other, right? By fondling each other's genitals under a table. This is how children should greet each other, like in Children of the Stones.
Hello. Hello. Come here for a ride? Where to? Oh, just round the village. Show you the sights.
It's interesting looking at the different challenges that face the children in these programmes. In The Changes, for example, Nikki has to find her way alone through a Britain that is in a kind of apocalyptic meltdown. And in Skins, Sid has to go and try and get some dope from a dope dealer in a brothel so that he can get a girl so catastrophically spliffed up that she'll have sex with him without realising who he is. I'm really glad I'm not a teenager watching TV for teenagers now, because I would feel really left out by something like Skins. But there's something really comforting for like nerds and weirdos about things like Children of the Stones and The Changes, things that make you feel less alone. And that's a really great thing that art can do. Whereas I think something like Skins would make me, as a teenager, feel more alone.
Number 4, and it's not fair to have a pop at kids unless they're as irritating as these two precocious sods.
Kids love a treat. Kids love to stay up late.
Oh,